What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is an award-winning author, screenwriter, broadcaster, speaker. He's also a podcaster. His recent book, Cruising Toward Heaven, Navigating from Rough Seas to Miraculous Adventures, just won the 2024 International Book Award. Please welcome Rob Ekno. Rob, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Deanna. Great to be here.
So you are just a media guy all the way through and through, huh?
That is correct, because actually when I was in high school, we had an amazing teacher, Ken Grady is his name, and he's still rocking and rolling with a show of his own with him and his wife in South Carolina, and it's broadcast across the world. But he helped us. He was in the military as a communications guy. English teacher at high school, came up with an idea that we needed to start a 200-watt FM radio station in our high school. Cool. So myself and Ken and a few other folks, a handful of them, we raised $18,000 in a year and a half, put a 40-foot tower on top of our high school, and started broadcasting 200 watts. And the neat thing is that last week, due to a family situation, I was back in Rhode Island, and they actually let me in to go see the old high school that I had radio station. So it was pretty cool.
That is cool. I love it. What a great story. What do you think of being in the media space? As a broadcaster, you're a podcaster, speaker, and now you're just an award-winning author. Has it been an interesting journey, or what do you think of how media was then to how it is now?
Well, media was back then, we're talking a couple decades ago here. I've actually been blessed to be at events with 3 former presidents of the United States. So that was pretty cool. I ended up being a nationally syndicated sportscaster out of Boston, where I got to go to all the major events. Plus, I got to go on the field at, Fenway Park and cover the Patriots and Bruins and Celtics and stuff. So I've been very blessed. And then because of my dedication to my craft, I was also awarded twice by the Associated Press for my reporting skills and broadcasting skills. So, but back then, I'll tell you, when you're out there running about, media has changed so much because of technology, and you would know better than I, because I'm not the technical guy. But back then for instance, we used to splice together audio tape with a grease pencil and tape, and we'd have to cut everything by hand. And I know now that when you edit things and stuff on the podcasters, and they have all these different platforms, I mean, you're doing everything on a computer, even the big TV stations, right?
Yeah, makes it a lot faster, a lot easier. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, really everybody has access to media these days.
Yeah, anybody. That's the great thing, right? Is anybody can do something and have their dream come true.
Yeah.
That's the incredible part. Before, you had to audition, you had to send out a resume. Nobody wanted to be the first one to take a chance on you, all this other stuff. Now you can believe in yourself and take your own chance on your own self and show the world what you are and what you have to offer. Because as you know, Deanna, every single one of us has something extremely valuable inside of us that we have to offer the world that can make a positive impact on somebody's life. We don't have to be a famous newscaster or Hollywood movie star. We just have to be ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. That was beautiful. Oh my gosh, to make me a little emotional. I completely agree, and I really encourage the premise of the show was to kind of like let go of self-limiting beliefs and chase that dream, whatever it is. For me, this is basically a dream come true doing the podcast. And I actually, when I started it, I had no idea what a podcast was, but I got an article on how to start one, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck I think I am, but I'm starting a podcast, and the message is just resonated with so many people around the world.
Yes.
And it means something different to everyone. But I feel like I'm helping free people, right? Like freeing them from
Absolutely
that are holding them back and encouraging to step out there. So we connected through Pitch Day with Thought Leader, which was an incredible experience. All of you amazing speakers. So share with us a little bit about that, like what you shared with us, because I was a judge, through that process, because it was very powerful, because I was like, oh, I got to talk to him.
Well, it's funny because I have been a speaker for years, having 31 years of sobriety, from homeless addict to 31. So I've done a lot of speaking around the country on sobriety and things like that, but also inspirational and faith-based speaking as well. And then I saw this opportunity to be involved with Thought Leader. And I looked at my girlfriend. I said, babe, I said, I've been helped with a lot of wonderful people who edit my books and all of these things and broadcasters and stuff. I said, at some point, I'm going to have to spend a little bit of cash to take me to the next level and really accelerate things, right? Yeah. And I looked at this Thought Leader, and I met this wonderful lady, Susan, who was helping me out. She's in Nashville. I've never met her, but we met through Zoom, and she guided me. And instead of taking this bigger picture thing that was offered, I said, this thing with Thought Leader is exactly what I need.
Yeah.
And I ended up with this incredible coach, as you know, Miss Sharon.
Yes.
And she is so brilliant. I can't tell you how honored and blessed I was. And she sees this stuff that you don't see.
Yeah.
Right? And not
talented.
Not just with me, but with these scientists and all of these people that were sharing all of this technical stuff that, like, the average human being. And I'm like, how the heck is she figuring this stuff out, right? But she helped me hone and showed me how to, I write very good speeches, but Sharon helped me write like a really awesome speech, right? And I learned that a long time ago, that you can have a lot of success in life as long as you don't mind who gets the credit. And I give tons of credit to Sharon all the time.
Well, you still had to do the work, though. She still guided you.
Yes, and I put in the work. And so actually, I won the most dedicated speaker of the year from Thought Leader. And as Sharon stated when presenting me the award at the end of it all, she said, Rob just kept coming back week after week and just making a little tweak here and a little tweak there, and just, getting it, even my background. She was like, don't have a certain background. I would go back and I said, how's this background? And just because I wanted people like yourself, the judges, who could promote more goodness in the world with the thoughts that I was sharing, to have the ability to see my best. And Sharon helped tweak just it. And it's amazing how just small little things. Yeah. But in you sharing this, Deanna, it was interesting because some days on the screen I'd be training with 20, 25 people. Some days we'd have 6 or 7, because it all depended. You could choose to get more training or not.
Right. Okay.
And it's interesting how many people refuse to be coachable. And
that just says a lot about where they're going to be in life, because you have to be coachable to move to the next level.
And it just blew me away. Like, here's this brilliant woman, Sharon, and she's given amazing advice, and people would say, but that's not the way I think I should do things. And it's like, but you're paying to learn advice, and then you want to tell the advisor, basically, go take a hike. It was like, so for me, my subject, I could have done sobriety in my life, from homeless addict to sobriety, but that testimony has been out there for a while. It's been on the 700 Club and various different places. And I came up with this idea in my prayer and meditation one day, the book you're dying not to write. And I shared that idea with a 62-year-old man on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And he was on the phone, and instantly he broke into tears.
Why do you think that is?
He said, because you're touching on something that is affecting me, because I have never gone after my dream.
That's huge.
And in that instant, just that one line, the title of the book, it struck his chord so much. He said, just hang on, just hang on. And then he says to me, it was funny because he said to me, but I don't think it's a big enough topic to really talk about, because, just because I was affected. I said, dude, it took you 2 seconds to start bawling your eyes out. Yeah. Why would it not have the same effect on somebody else? So literally the next day, Deanna, I get invited to coffee in Studio City in the Los Angeles area with a 35-year-old gentleman. I share the same exact story with him, and instant tears in his eyes.
Wow.
And he said, dude, if you wrote that book, if you made it a book, I would buy it in a heartbeat, because it's not about the book.
Yeah.
Right? It's about whatever hang up you have that you should be doing because you know it will really help somebody, but for some reason you're just putting up the biggest cement blocks in front of you and looking for every excuse.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I was at a little fish fry thing, and this gal comes up to me. She was talking to some people at the table, and she just happened to come to my table. And she says, "Hey, I'm a podcaster and whatever." And she didn't know me from a hole wall. And I said, "Oh, that's fantastic." She said, "But my podcast is ending because my studio is closing and I don't have money for a new studio."
Oh, wow.
And I said, and I looked at her, and she's 40 years old. How do I know? Because she said I'm 40. And she said to me, and I said to her, I said, "Do you ever think that maybe God's shutting that door because he wants you to write your book?" And immediately she said to me, "Yeah, you and 1,000 other people have told me that I need to write a book."
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I said, "I will mentor you for free."
Wow.
Instant tears in her eyes. She broke down, and I had to just wait a few minutes for her to stop crying. And do you know, I gave her my number. I said, "If you want, I've written 4 books now. I've learned a lot. I'm still not an English guy. I still need my editors and proofreaders and all that stuff. But I've learned a lot in 4 books.
Yep.
And I will mentor you for free if you're willing to break free." And guess what? We're meeting tonight, actually, for the first time. She contacted me and followed up on that because you know what? You know why she started crying? I'm sure you do. Because I eliminated the final excuses that she had. I don't have any money.
Labels like I can't do it. I'm afraid. Yes. All those negative things that we carry that think that we are not capable or we're not worthy enough to accomplish something so beautiful.
Absolutely. You know, and you're right. And here's the thing, though, that a psychiatrist friend of mine said to me, Deanna. He said, a lot of people, Rob, aren't actually afraid of failure. Like, who would read my book? You know, I'm not famous. Nobody would even, all that. They're actually afraid of sharing their story because deep down inside, they actually know that their story is very powerful. And what if it actually did change another human being's life in a positive way? What do I do with the accolade that I get for helping make the world a better place? And a lot of people, as you probably have learned in your podcast, have learned a lot of people can't handle that.
Yeah, for sure. It's heavy.
So this thing, the book You're Dying Not to Write is my latest project.
Okay.
But I get into that in a second. I know we don't have a long time, but the book, My Cruising Toward Heaven, Navigating from Rough...
You have a copy, right? Let's see it.
Miraculous Adventures, right?
I love it.
This particular book right here is about my journey from homeless addict after losing my broadcasting career in New England to living out of the Greyhound bus station in Fort Lauderdale to now I'm very blessed to get 31 years sober. And if I can, I'll reach back and grab this guy here.
Yeah, let's see it.
I was just amazingly honored, Deanna, just recently to receive, because my whole goal with my books is to have the most positive impact I can have on others, right? So I just won the International Impact Book Award for that book in the category of addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
Which is where I hope...
That has to be like a whole, I mean, I can't even imagine like from being in that place to where you are today, like just the kind of, just the, how it makes you humble and just the reality of, what that looks like to where you are now.
Yeah, I was in tears when I got the email because my whole goal has always been to have the biggest impact. And as you may recall, one of the stories that was the most powerful in my 3-minute speech that won me the award when you were the judge, one of the judges, was about my 90-year-old aunt.
Yeah.
So I wrote my second book, which is It God or Coincidence? Coming to Grips with the Unexpected Wonders in Life. And in this book is all kinds of God stories and very big coincidences and stuff. Well, one of my cousins in Rhode Island got this book a couple of years ago when I published it, And she calls me one day and she says, they call me Bobby. And she goes, Bobby, you got to call Aunt Dee. She just absolutely loves your book. I said, really? She has a copy? She says, yeah, I gave her my copy. And she reads it every day. Oh. Right? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I call my aunt up, my 90-year-old aunt. She says, oh, my God, I love this book. I read half of it one day. I took a nap, and then I read the next half. And the next day I read the whole thing straight through. Oh, well, a year later, shortly after, my aunt gets diagnosed with terminal cancer. And the family decides we're not going through any operation. She's 90 years old. Let's just let her go in peace. So I get to see her the day before she passes. She's lying in bed, sleeping. And my cousin, her daughter, looks at me and points to that book on the coffee table. And she says, you see that book right there? And I said, yes. She said, she read your book every single day for the last year of her life. She said, you have no idea how much joy you brought to your aunt. And I was in tears because it's like that makes me the bestseller. That's all I need. I don't need awards and accolades and all this. My aunt, who I adore and adored me, I brought joy for 365 days of her life until her next to last day when she couldn't read, basically. I mean, and so if I don't write my book, because I'm so selfish inside of me that I'm not willing to share the goodness that God gave me to share with the rest of the world and those stories, I would have never known that I denied her that joy, right? But now I get to share that story, and hopefully, as you're in tears now, because it's a tearful story. See, it has an impact. It's my aunt's story.
Yeah.
But it's because somebody got me to break that wall and say, you know what? Okay, nobody knows who I am. I'm not a famous author. I'm not on the big network TVs. I'm not a Hollywood movie star. Why write a book? Who will read it? Well, your aunt will read it, and it will bring her immense joy for the final days of her life. What more could we ask as a human being?
Oh, hi. It's your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. I'm here to share an exciting opportunity with you. I've recently partnered with securevpn.io. They specialize in protecting your online activity, such as transactions, your online searches, your privacy protection, and it protects you from any data leakage from hackers out there that have access to your information. So please click the link in bio and take advantage of this special opportunity with securevpn.io. Again, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. What did you ever ask her, or did your cousin ever tell you, like, what she, besides bringing her joy, what was the message that she got out of it?
She just loved the stories. They were very positive, uplifting stories. Okay. And she couldn't wait. She couldn't wait for the next one to be written. So the book that I'm writing now, the book You're Dying Not to Write, her picture and mine will be featured in the dedication, and the book is going to be dedicated to her. And I have this beautiful picture that I don't have available in the books, but I have this beautiful picture of her and I at lunch the last time we were together in public a few months before she passed. And I have this beautiful picture, and she has this gorgeous smile on her face holding my book. And so I'm going to use that. And I've used it on other stuff that I've done. And if I can, this is a very powerful story because, so what happened was a year ago, it was the 1 year passing of my dad. So I went back to Rhode Island to honor and go see his gravesite. And as I was there, and I'm just flipping through my my book quickly here, and I'll show you this. I get this idea to go thank the police officer that stopped me on my last night of drinking on November 28th of 1992, because, Deanna, I was driving worse than any human being on planet Earth could have. The fact that I did not kill anybody, hurt anybody myself is just an incredible blessing.
Yeah. And
so thankfully, at first I was like most people I go to in the recovery meetings, and they're like, that rat son of a gun, police officer. No. If I hadn't been driving like a complete idiot, wasted off my butt, he wouldn't have stopped me.
Yeah.
And thank God he did. So I'm able to, the police station is actually able to find him for me. They couldn't tell me where he was, but they told me his name. I found him on Facebook because he was retired. They retire after 20. This was 30 years later. Deanna, the guy invites me over to his house. He's as big as the starting tackle. You're in Chicago, so he's as big as the starting tackle for the Bears.
Yeah.
I am only 5'9". He invites me over to his house, and I get to shake his hand and thank him for saving my life. Now you got tears coming to my eyes.
Cry again.
Yeah, you got tears coming to my eyes too now, right? And what was so cool about it is that we're standing there, and this guy's got several inches on me, and all of a sudden he looks down at me, and he's got tears in his eyes now.
Yeah, I bet.
And he looks at me and he says, that was really cool of you to do that. He said, everybody else just wants to tell us how bad we suck.
Right. They don't want to take responsibility. Well, my husband's a police officer, so I just imagine like someone saying it to him, and it's just like, that's beautiful that you did that.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I was the idiot. As I shared with him, I said, Officer Bud, thanks to you for serving and protecting the community of Rhode Island from this fool that night. Nobody got harmed. But the biggest thing is, Officer Bud, was that because you did what you did, I've been able to stay sober now for this was 30 years, so it was a year ago. 30 years now, and I have been able to help hundreds upon hundreds of other people have better lives, and in turn, they have been able to help hundreds
the domino
hundreds.
effect.
So that one act of you actually doing your job that you were paid to do and doing it right, you have no idea the effect and the positivity that you have on hundreds upon hundreds of people in this country right now.
Yeah, amazing. Wow, that's just... You made me cry twice, Rob.
So I'm doing good. Let's go.
Tears, like they are good tears. They're like happy tears. And
yes,
I was very moved. And so I think that just, we all have such unique stories, and we are all definitely here to share these experiences with people and to hopefully inspire them to make other people cry in a positive way.
That's a great thing, because what you're telling me is that the message that I have to deliver. So you're my validation now, right?
Sure.
So your tears are telling me that I have no excuse to move forward with continuing to share this story, because here I am. And just so you know, if you want to feel a little bit better, Deanna, so I was just in Nashville a couple weeks ago at this big faith-based media convention with all the biggest Christian broadcasters or faith-based broadcasters in the world. So I got asked to be on several podcasts, TV shows, and stuff. Just so you know, the last two that I did, one guy's a 50-year broadcaster from North Carolina. Russell was his name. Wonderful human being. And the last one was Bev from Nashville. She does 3 shows, long-running shows in Nashville. Each of them, everybody chose. I had 6 books that they could pick from. It's funny. Everybody wanted to talk about the addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
Right, from this book. And as I shared Russell at the last moments, probably the last 5 minutes of the podcast, here's a grown man. He was in tears, and Bev was in tears. And you know what each of them said to me? They said, because this book is cruising toward heaven, right? No, who would ever think that this is the story of my sobriety and my homelessness?
Right.
So a lot of people in recovery, or who need to be in recovery, won't read an actual recovery book.
Sure. Right.
But each of them said to me, Rob, if somebody took this book and left it on a kitchen counter or a dining room table or in the bathroom, somebody saw it. It has a really beautiful picture, and it's my own picture I took up in Alaska, and hence the cruising toward heaven. I used to work on a private cruise ship, hence how the title came.
Very cool.
And a pastor in Indiana actually told me I needed to start using my own pictures. So again, you validating my stories today, the pastor calling me and say you need to use your pictures. The point is that I myself, when people come to me, I said, listen, I had to overcome all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then people like yourself are telling me, here I am in tears, and I hear stories all day long on this beautiful podcast that I do, right? So you're just telling me that the stories that I've been given to share, I have no excuse, and shame on me if I don't continue to share them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When is your new book expected to launch?
Right now, I am writing the book You're Dying Not to Write. It's not going to be a giant one, because I'm actually not going to be, and it's interesting. I talked with my writing coach, David, and I'm not actually writing it in the terms of if you want to be a bestseller or anything like that. No. This book, because you can go on the internet, right, and see millions of people. I can tell you how to be a bestseller.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a bestseller. I want you to heal whatever it is inside of you that's been eating away at your soul, that you know what you need to do. And whether it's write a book, whether it's climb a mountain you've always wanted to climb, but you just won't get the hiking poles and the sneakers, you know, or it's a business you wanted to start, but you just won't, and you got the money, but you just won't, you know, spend it because you don't trust. Whatever it is, it's about the hang up. For me, it was a book.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, as you may remember from that speech that I did, how did I learn how to write? I have a friend who writes for Fox, one of the big shows. He makes almost $1 million a year. So I said to him one day, I said, hey, I got all these stories. I said, but I'm getting old and I'm bald. And, you know, I said, I don't have time to go back to 4 years of college, right? I said, tell me the secrets of writing. I said, you know, just give me the shortcuts, man. You're making enough money. You know, I'm not stealing any money out of your pocket. He looked at me and he said, Rob, you want to know the secrets of writing? I said, yes. He said, and we're in Studio City, right? Just outside of Los Angeles. And he says to me, you get $1, you walk over to the 99-cent store right near Universal Studios, and you give them that $1, and they'll give you a pad. And then you give them another $1, and they'll give you a pen.
There you go.
And you open that pad, and you start writing, and pretty soon you'll have a book. That's writing. Well, the funny part was, you'll love this, because what he said to me is, you'll write a whole thing, you'll write a sentence and a paragraph and then a chapter, and then you'll have a book.
Right.
And he said, you're going to read it, and you'll read it and you'll go, oh my God, that sucks. And then you'll rewrite it, and you'll go, oh, hey, that still sucks, but not quite as bad as last time. And then eventually you'll rewrite it enough, because that's where the key to success is, he says. It's in the rewriting. And eventually you'll go, oh my God, that sounds like a book.
There you go.
That's exactly what happened to me. That's the secret, is in starting.
Yes.
Right? That's what and it's not about being perfect, because one of the guys that I talked about right before my aunt in that speech, I talk about a friend that I had met that had gotten a copy of the Is It God or Coincidence book. And in this book is a story about a father and a son relationship that I didn't know I was even repairing one day by having the son work with me. It's a miraculous story in here in chapter 6. And my friend read it, and he says to me one day, he calls me and says, Rob, can you meet me at work in my parking lot after I get done today? I'm like, okay. So I show up. Now here's this guy. He's a workout guy, solid, you know, like no fat on his body, just solid muscle man, right? And he's standing at the back of his car, bawling his eyes out, holding my book.
Wow.
And he says, you see this book? I got it 5 days ago, read it, I've been in tears since. He said, you touched on so many things that really hit me hard. And he had been having a horrible relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
And reading that article, he picks the chapter, he calls his dad and told him he was sorry for being such a sucky son.
Oh, wow.
And he said, we'll never have a great relationship, Rob, but we're going to have a lot better than what I had because of what you wrote here. Sure. And then this is the key that I want everybody who's watching to understand. You don't need to be perfect. I got a D in English in high school, right? My English teacher wrote the foreword to this book. All right? I still don't know where commas, semicolons, dangling parts. I don't know anybody. So my friend says to me, look at me. I'm an English lit major, which he was.
Yeah.
And he said, I've never written and he said to me, so as far as the structure of your book goes, I'd give you a C. He says, as far as the message, A+.
Wow. See, that's all that matters right there.
Right. And then he looks at me and he goes, imagine that. Here I am, an English lit major. I've never written the first word of a book, and yet I'm criticizing yours.
Wow. Yeah.
And it just goes to show that we don't have to be some perfect award-winning author, brilliant, going to Harvard, Yale.
You don't start, you would never get the award. So you got to start somewhere. And
right.
It's okay. There's so many tools out there to write a book. You got ChatGPT and all this stuff. Rob,
Great.
I'm gonna start wrapping things up here.
Yes.
Where if people have connected with you, they want to learn more, they want to purchase your book, where can they find you?
Simply go to my website at robekno.com, or you can go on Amazon as well, and all the books are right there as well if you'd like to go there and make it easy for yourself.
And you can media they can follow you on?
You can follow me on facebook.com /RobEkno. You can follow me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can follow me. There's another one because I've spent a lot of time in Alaska. So I actually have Rob Ekno's Alaska's True Gold on Facebook. If you look that up, you'll see a lot of my Alaskan adventures and a lot of the things that I've done up there in Alaska as well. So that's a few of them that should lend you quite well.
Yeah. You guys can put those links in the show notes. So if you connected with Rob today, you want to learn more or purchase his books, do not hesitate to go click at the link, go check out his website, go follow him on LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever works for you, and go support him and get one of those books. I'm sure you're going to have some tearjerkers as well. Rob, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I would like to just let everybody know that you watching right now
Or listening.
Hopefully listening, so that you listening right now, you have something inside of you that you know that you need to get out to the world, whether it's that coffee shop, whether it's that book, whether you just need to climb that mountain to do something you've always wanted and always held back on. You have the power inside of you right now as you are. Your story matters, and it matters right now, and you can change somebody's life today if you choose to, by getting out of yourself and into thinking more about others. Because if I didn't, I would have missed out on my friend. I would have missed out on my aunt. I would have missed out on the police officer that I contact now every year and say, thank you, one more year sober. Wow. So there's something that you have in you the world needs to know, and they need to know it now. I pray today that today's the day you look in the mirror, you say, I love you, whatever your name may be, no matter how many tears you have to cry in order to say that, and then you go out and start doing the thing that you're dying not to do.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rob. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. You made me cry a couple of times. What an amazing story. Cannot wait to continue to watch your trajectory with your books and your speaking and impacting lives in a positive way. So thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. It's been a true blessing, Deanna. Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.